Okay, so now let's look at question number 4. So question number 4 says what? It says Z4 or Z2, actually Z2 all over Z1 is equal to 3 minus J all divided by the square root of 8 plus J2. Okay, so the minute when we see our complex inside what? Inside the square root. That means we must understand that our complex, it has an exponent. And then you remember that principle of, is it Moerit or whatever, I don't remember the name. But when we have a what? When we have our complex number in a what? In a rectangular form, let's say we have z to the power of n, that means this z will multiply with the will be the exponent of the resultant and will also multiply with what? With the angle inside the angle of the complex number. I don't know if you remember that. Okay, so in this problem they have given us a hint to say now we can simplify the first z2, which is 3 minus j, and write it in a what? In a polar form. And then we'll also have to simplify this one here at the bottom and write it in a polar form. So let's first simplify what we have, which is z2. Let's say z2 is equal to how much? Is 3 minus j. And then if we want to write 3 minus j in a let's say polar form, so it's going to be r, which is the resultant, and then it's going to be 3 squared plus 1 squared. So remember, you square the real part and you also square the imaginary part. Remember, the sign does not matter here. So if you square the negative sign, it will always give you the positive sign. So it's 3 squared plus 1 squared. So it's going to be what? It's going to be the square root of 10. And then when you want the angle, remember the angle is going to be tangent theta. Tangent of theta is opposite over adjacent. And remember, the opposite one, it will always be the coefficient of the imaginary part. So it's going to be -1 all over 3. Okay, so remember, every time I said when you have what? A negative angle, that means you must draw your Cartesian plane. So it's real part and it's imaginary part. So on the real part, we have +3 here. The imaginary part, we have -1. That means our answer will be in the what? In the 4th quadrant. Okay. So now what we get here, it will be the reference angle. So the reference angle, it will be what? Second function tangent of what? Of 1 over 3. Okay, so how much will be our reference angle? So it's second function tangent of 1 over 3, which is now 18.43 degrees. Okay, so remember here, this on our Cartesian plane, this is what? This is a 4th quadrant. That means it's 360 minus theta. So the angle of our angle, it will be theta is 360 minus 18.43 degrees. So the theta, it will be how much? It will be 360 minus the answer, which is going to be 341.67 degrees. Okay, so that means now we have simplified our what? Our z2. So z2 is actually equals to what? The resultant is square root of 10, and it has an angle of how much? Of 341.67 degrees. Okay, so now secondly, we can simplify what? We can simplify the z1. Okay, let me just erase here. So secondly, we can simplify z1. So z1 is equals to what? Is equals to square root of 8 plus j2. But remember, square root, it means it's exponent of half. So we can write this as what? As 8 plus j 2 all to the power of 1 over 2. Okay, so remember, we can just convert this one here inside the bracket to be a polar form, and then we apply the law of law or theorem. Okay, so now what are we going to do? We're going to convert this one here to be what? To be in a polar form. So here we're going to say our resultant is going to be what? A square root of what is going to be 8 squared plus 2 squared. Okay, so remember, here is the real part, this is the imaginary part. So it's going to be 8 squared and 2 squared. And then we get our resultant here. So our resultant will be square root of 8 squared plus 2 squared. So our resultant is 2 square root of 17. Okay, and then remember, we have to find the angle. So the angle is tangent of theta. But we look at the opposite part. The opposite is going to be 2. Adjacent, which is 8. Okay, so look for theta. We say it's second function tangent. So every time, if ever our angle here is positive, you don't have to find the reference angle, because it simply implies that we have our real part here and our imaginary part here. So that means our answer will be on the first quadrant. If it is both negative, that means it will be on the third quadrant. So you must always check the signs of your question. So, but in this case, both of them, they are positive. That means the answer lies on the first quadrant. So the answer will be second function tangent of 2 over 8, which is going to be what? Our theta here, which is our final answer, is 14.04 degrees. That means now the value of Z1, is equals to how much? Not Z1, but what is inside Z1. So this is not the value of Z1. I'm sorry about that. So our simplified rectangular to polar form, which is inside here, is what is going to be the R is 2 square root 17, and then it has an angle of 14.04 degrees. Okay, so remember, this one is raised to the power of 1 over 2. Okay, so this is our Z1. I was correct about that. Okay, so but now after we have converted it here, we must do what? We must apply here this method here, or this theorem here. That means everything here, it will be raised to the power of 1, and then the angle will be multiplied by 1 over 2. It will be raised to the power of 1 over 2, and then the angle will be multiplied by 1 over 2. So the answer here for Z1, it will be what? Let me just do that. It's going to be 2 square root 17 to the power of 1 over 2, which gives us Z1 is going to be 2.87, and then angle of how much? At an angle of, it's going to be 14. Remember, the angle will multiply this, so it's going to be 14.04 multiplied by 1 over 2, so which is going to be 7.02 degrees. Okay, so let me just erase here. So after separately simplifying the Z2 and Z1, we can plug them here on our problem. Okay, let's say now we say Z2 over Z1. So the simplified Z2 is going to be what? is the square root of 10 at an angle of 341.67 degrees, all divided by Z1, which is 2.87 at an angle of 7.02 degrees. And then what you can do, you can just simplify there. Remember, when you divide this answer is going to be what? It's going to be square root of 10. Square root of 10 divide by 2.87. So the answer will be 1.1, yes, 1.1. And then the angle, it will be 341.67 minus 7.02, which is going to be 3.65. Okay, so this will be our final answer. So if ever the question said that we must simplify it to rectangular form, we will just convert this one to rectangular form. But now the question just said we must simplify.